information about my research with you. I will try to finish this soon so that we have time for Q&A and discussion after that. I know that you may have many different questions regarding this topic. Now I would like to share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my slides? Hello? Okay, thank you. Now, as you know, my presentation is about teacher professional development through a community of practice in blended teaching situation. And it was conducted when the COVID-19 pandemic just spread out in Vietnam from February to May. My presentation will have 5 main parts, and after that will be the Q&A session. For the introduction, I would like to show why I conduct this study. This is because many of us have known about community of practices, and we have the benefits of that. And also, before the research was conducted, our COP have already had experience because we started it in November 2019. And when we were forced to move to teach online with blended classroom or online classroom, we've faced a lot of difficulties. So we decided to form the COP for this research during this time. Then I want to investigate professional development because we know that the teachers practice the peer sharing and the reflection on what they have done and what others have done may affect their professional development. And actually, the time I chose is because it is a special period during the time of teaching in our teaching life, actually. So I really want to explore in this specific situation how their professional development changed and how they experience the change and the benefits of COP during this time. My research question is, how do teachers develop professionally through their participation in a community of practice in blended teaching situation? I won't run through literature review because I want to make sure that we know what theoretical background I base on when I design and I conduct the research. We talk about teacher PD. This is the development of people during their profession, and it is an ongoing process with integral characteristics. And as a fully professional teacher, then teacher PD is very important. The process, as we know, it includes the positive changes in our cognitive capabilities and teaching specific knowledge. And also when we develop professionally, it means that we understand what we do and we can exploit our potential to the best. There are different lists of activities for professional development. But normally it means that we have to spend time for self-reflection and evaluation. We develop knowledge and skills about teaching, the knowledge about research, theory, and issues about teaching. And also we need to take up new roles and responsibilities. And one other feature is to develop a good collaborative relationships with other peers. The most important for this part is how we evaluate teacher professional development. And in this part, I cite Guskey's model when he divided teacher professional development into 5 levels of evaluation. And for each of the level here, we focus on one thing and we try to answer different questions. First, we consider about the participants' reactions, about how satisfied and how pleased they feel. Then about their learning, that means what knowledge, what skills they improve or they gain. About organization support and change, it means about their schools, their universities, their institutions, how from the teacher changes, from the teacher development, how the organization change and supports and helps and recognize what the teachers have done. Number 4, level 4, is about the application, the implementation of what the participants have learned. And the final one, we measure student learning outcomes with all of what we call the teacher have developed professionally. Then how does it affect on their students? And we can consider about cognitive and affective and psychomotor and academic and those things. About community of practice, actually, the materials about COP has started to evolve since 1991 until now. But here I try to cite the updated one by Wenger, one of the key member in COP development. And here he says, a community of practice is a group of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. So when you look at the definition, you will see that there are some key features. First, they must share a domain of interest. So a community of practice is formed by interest. Then it must be a community. And when we talk about community, it's not about people grouping to each other, but it's focused on interactions, on joint activities, on discussion, on mutual support. And the last thing that characterizes a COP is a shared repertoire of resources so that they have a shared practice. In our case, to be more specific, we have 7 teachers working in the same faculty, and we teach the same subject. We formed this initially because when we meet each other during break times in our university, we spend time discussing on what I did with my classroom. What I did with the students and what I am planning to do, and then I reflect upon whether this is effective for my students, if my student liked it or I really liked it, or how I feel like the students react really positively for this one. They are really eager to do these activities, or they don't really appreciate that kind of activity. And when we first formed it, we did it in the teacher's room, the staff room in our university. But during this time, during the time I conduct this study, it is mainly done through Zalo and Messenger. We form a group of teachers and we share our ideas every day because we have classes every day. We had classes every day. So every time one person finished his or her class, then he or she would share the good thing, the bad thing, the new ideas, and share it with other teachers so that we can consider this for our next class. About methodology, as I said, we have 7 teachers. And our course lasted in 15 weeks. Actually, but we have 4 weeks before COVID pandemic. So we spent 15 weeks for this study. I collect this as a case study research. because here I only have one community of practice. So it can be considered as a single case. I collect the data with two main instruments, the written narrated stories of the participants at the end of the course when they reflect on what they have done, what they had done, and what they gained and what they felt like they should improve and how they felt. So they wrote it on the narratives. Then we have semi-structured interviews. I did it before we start doing this. And at the end, at the end of the semester, we have another interviews to see the reflection. And as any other kind of qualitative research, I mainly do theme coding. And then I compare the results found between the narratives and the interviews to see the similarities and the differences. And actually there were not much conflicts between those things. Maybe because because I am a member of the community of practice and I collect the data. So the members in the COP didn't feel any hesitation to show their real thinking. The research results, I divided into 5 levels as Guskey's levels of evaluation of teacher PD. So for the first level, about the members' reactions, mostly they shows that they had a sense of gain from the COP experience. I mean, most people say that I learned a lot from my peers and I have found many different ideas to employed into my classrooms. I think that I developed a lot in the skills of designing lectures online and conducting classrooms online. And another thing, which is very positive, is that they have positive attitude toward the other COP members. They said that I feel like I love my peers more because they are very supportive, they're really creative, and they are experts in the field that I'm not. And also they feel optimistic about the current experience and future situation. As I said, when we started the semester online, we felt really nervous because this is the first time we have to conduct fully online courses. And some teachers even never taught online before. So they were really nervous and anxious. But as the time goes by, with the sharings from the COP members, they feel that the experience is really good. They learned and they taught. And even in the future, if there would be any problems, and I think they think that they could deal with that. About their learning, they learned about the applications and the tools to design online games and to improve interactions through Zoom and MS Team and those things. They also have the techniques and the tricks to conduct interactive activities on different platforms and design the exercises or the worksheets of the game on the platforms. And also they learn the techniques to maintain student attention in the online classes instead of leaving them to mute themselves and hide their face. So we don't know whether the student really attend the class or not. About the organization or say institutions, they say that in this specific case, the organization was quite supportive when they give them financial support to buy professional accounts. And they also offer training course afterwards so that the teachers can master the skills in designing blended or online course. And in the university where we were working, we use a learning management system. However, there's still a shortcomings, which we think that the organization is not supportive enough. This is when we have to convert the online timetable and the offline timetable. This means in the schedule, we have 4 periods, face-to-face classrooms, but when we teach online, it shouldn't be that long. We cannot sit in front of the screen for 4 hours and just talk and do with the students like this. However, in our institution, we are obliged to sit like this. So if in the timetable, the teacher has 4 periods, and it means they had to teach 4 periods online. And we have to show our Zoom recording or Microsoft Teams recording with that length to prove that I have completed all the 4 periods like that. And I think it is not a good support, and it is not a wise way to conduct a blended learning. And for the use of knowledge and skills among our COP members, then we apply almost all the shared techniques. That means how we improve the classroom interaction, how we use like recording or breakout rooms or things like that. And the shared materials, which are like the Google Sheets or Google Form exercises, or the games that we design on Quizlets and Kahoot, something like this. And we share the links with each other. And the other teachers, when we make the investigation, then on average, we exploit around 70%. For the learning outcomes, then it was funny to see the outcomes. The students show quite positive attitude toward our groups of teachers. That means they said that we learned all the subjects online, but among all the subjects, I think that this subject is one of the best experience we got during the COVID pandemic period, during the quarantine period. However, the outcomes, the academic outcomes, which is reflected on their end of term exam results, was not really satisfactory. The problem the problem was that the score was lower than in the previous semesters that we taught before. And for the discussion here, there are 3 main points that I would like to summarize from the findings. Of course, with many positive results and feedback, we say that it correlates with the benefits of community of practice that we might find in the theory. From the 5 level of evaluations above, I noticed that the positive results were witnessed with the items related directly to the COP members themselves. I mean, if it is about the teachers themselves, the people who joined in the COP, then the results was quite positive. However, when it comes to the results which are not directly related to the members, here is the student outcomes and the organization support, then the result was not that positive. Okay, that is the end of my presentations, and here are some references for my presentation. Thank you very much, and we'll have some time for Q&A.
Yes, we would like to share feedback to your great presentation. Now we're happy to receive any questions that you may have for our presenter. And I have seen some questions in the chat box, and our presenter are going to have a discussion with all of you. Question number 1, what activities do students do in the community of projects? Yeah.
Well, here the COP is not among the students, but this is the community of practice among the teachers. So this is, here I focus on what the teachers do together to improve their blended learning, blended teaching. It is not about the students, but if you want me to describe my experience, we taught English, and the target is the C1 level, which is say 7 for IELTS test, or say 100 or 95 for TOEFL IBT. And when we taught that, we had a lot of activities for each day. Like I remember when when I taught about the topic of food, and that lesson was only about formal essay writing and about account essay. And at first I only focused on those two types, but then my peer told me that when she taught her class, she showed them the samples of other types of essays and other types of writing also, and they were all about the topic of food. So she shared the material with me, and then I brought those material for my next class. And during the next class, the students show great appreciation for the material that I add instead of what was inside the textbook. Okay. The difficulties for both teacher and students face, is it about community of practice, or is it about blended teaching? I'm not so sure whether you are asking about this one. Okay, so if the person who asked.
Okay, hello. So
Yeah.
number 2 is my questions. As you
Yeah.
know that during you do some activity with students by using techniques of computers, WhatsApp or
Yes.
something. Yes. So what difficulty that you try to see how your student react to your work? Do you have any
Yes.
difficulty?
Yes. So and maybe this is the answer for number 3 also. When we taught our blended semester, learning semester, in our COP, there were 2 types of platform that we use. 5 members used Zoom meetings, and 2 members used Microsoft Teams meetings. But for all kinds, we have kind of check attendance, and that was quick. But we don't read aloud, but we just do the screenshot. And then we know that how many students joined the class, and it only took about a few more seconds. And then in our classrooms, we tend to give a lot of questions. And sometimes we ask the student to type the answers. Sometimes we call the student and ask them to answer directly in spoken ways. We don't, in some of the, at first, one of our group members suggested asking the student to turn on their video, but it was not feasible because it will affect the, transmissions of the internet connection. So then we had to stop that one, but we alternatively ask the students. So when I have 20 students in the class, I make sure that I will ask them from this question, and then move on to another one, and that move on. So I say for about 2 hours of teaching, I may have say 5 questions that ask the student to type the answer to the chat box, and about 15 other questions that I alternate asking one student and then another one and then another one. Of course, there will be some time the student say that, I'm sorry, I had technical problems, but I say, okay, when I call your name and you cannot speak it with your microphone or something, type your answer right away in the chat box, and I will accept that you are listening attentively to what I say.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I have just answered number 3 and 4 also. Okay, the interaction. We have Zoom for 5 teachers and MS Team for 3 teachers. The LMS was only developed after that, when our institution trained the teachers so that they can prepare the materials online and submit our they recorded lectures on that platform.
Yes,
But during our research, it was MS Team and Zoom.
we also have another question in the chat box.
Yeah.
How long has the COP been existing? This could have been the factor why the improvement on the skill of teacher did not have positive effect or significant improvement on the learner proficiency. We have time for the last question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with you, JP. As I said, our COP started to form on November 2019. That means it is 11 months until now, but it was only 3 months old when we started this project. We shared some things, but I think that maybe it was not enough. And also, you know what, it was the first time the teachers and the student work online. So when we compare the results with all the previous semesters, that even though we have tried our best to make our online experience and blended teaching experience as good as possible, but maybe it was not good enough compared to the face-to-face interactions in the previous semesters. And actually, it was not only our, maybe the effect is, in this case, I don't think that it is about the length of, I mean, the age of our COP, but maybe this is about how well the teachers and the student adapt to the online or the virtual learning environment. Because it is not only our subjects, but also in other subjects at our university, the students also got lower marks and anatomy exams. All right.
Yes, due to the limited time, we cannot include all the questions in the Q&A session, so you can email to the presenter directly. On behalf of the BIC 2020, we wish you all the best with the productive day and the meaningful rest of our virtual convention. Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Now I'm going to start the meeting in order to have the records on the cloud. Thank you again.